Hey, I want to start off by thanking everyone for all of the attention, all of the views we've gotten so far on the Creatives Incorporated podcast. The numbers and the positive reaction I've received so far are just far beyond what I imagined we'd get, and I'm really glad that you're enjoying what we're putting out, and I hope you continue on this ride as we go toward wrapping up season 1. We got a lot more to come. So on to the announcement portion of the video. Over the last few weeks, I've had several people messaging me asking for an audio-only version of the podcast. To get the audio-only version of the podcast, check out creativesincorporated.com for direct links. All right, thanks again. Let's start the tour. All right, so welcome to the studio. If you've never been here before, this is probably a different view. We're actually going to start looking toward the future. So if we go this way, you're going to notice that we have kind of a director live cut editing. In the future, I hope to be able to live stream some of the show for some fan interaction. So we have multiple monitor layouts. We have our audio mixer. We have our video switcher. In the boxes, it's mostly our SDI cabling and converters for HDMI to SDI. Here is the cart I use in the studio to move anything around, store sandbags and heavier objects in the bottom. And then a lot of times this is a mobile prep surface, so we don't have to keep walking around. Right now, it is the main case for packing for jobs for the camera system. So as we go over here, this is actually something I just put together. This is one of two things I've done from a guy named Caleb Pike, a DSLR video shooter on YouTube. This is a roller base, C-stand. I did something a little different than him. I just used an Avenger grip head and slid in an extra boom arm I had with a Deity S Mic 2 on the end, so I can pull this out, kind of set it wherever we want it to be, so I can go and record. In fact, actually that's what we're doing with the Deity Connect right now to the H4 in, so we can just kind of roll this wherever we want it and I can record. Here's one of our other prep stations, storage. Now every rack we have in the studio is on rollers. Nothing is nailed down, everything can be moved. And on the back, everything here, it's also the back wall and everything is sound panels. So that helps to break up the sound profile. Otherwise, this is really just a space that's very reverberant and full of standing waves. So on storage here, we have our Atomos recorder. We have an extra large diaphragm dynamic. This is an MXL BCD1. So one day if we ever have a third person, I have a mic for him, even if it doesn't quite match our SM7Bs. The slate you saw us use, which is the only time we use it, we actually just clap for the show. So this is actually an area I can set up a mini set if I'm just going to do a quick talking head video. We have the roll down background, the white paper. We also have it in green screen. We have it in kind of a nice purple and a fashion gray. These two racks is where largely our lighting. So this is pretty much all for flash, except for a couple of constant lights here. So when we actually do photography, this is where a lot of the modifiers and stands live. A lot of our stands, whether they be music or video, as long as they're not C-stand based, are actually just hanging between racks here. And this is really our organization for the video side of the studio. Something else I got from Caleb Pike. Recommendations are these little boxes. We've got our grip accessories, headphones, spindables, grids, C-stand parts, extra sockets, everything you need. And then down here is all of our little light panel, LED lights, some kind of gimmicky things I put together, and some older light panels. And then the creepy thing is the doll heads. Picked them up from a local barber shop. Students were learning. And these are the stand-ins for when I'm trying to learn new lighting or I need to set up a shot when I don't have any help. All right, so if you spin around this way, this is actually the side of the set you're used to seeing. So this is actually only about half of the space, and the side you see is really only about a third of the space we have. It's a 3-camera set. It's just a white desk that I've added a faux butcher's block top on that I just bought at Home Depot. Did a polystain combo, just did one. I wanted it to look rough and not be real polished, so it had some character to it. A couple of chairs picked up at Target. These are actually very cheap arms, but they stay low profile and they're doing their job, hanging out the way. Our 3 cameras, we have the camera that hits me. This is a Sony a6400. Drifty autofocus, just using a cheap Sony 50mm 1.8 lens. And then this is our center camera. If you come around, this is actually something new. For those of them who have been watching the episodes on YouTube, might notice that a couple of them, the center shot is not as tack sharp as it could be. That's because it's really hard to monitor. So I've added a TV up here so I can see it and make sure that we're staying in focus. And that's just an old A6000 with a Sony 18-105 f4 power zoom lens on there. And finally, this is our main A camera. It's a Sony a7 III with the Tamron 28-75 f2.8 lens. We shoot that at 75 at 2.8. And the other is a 50, making it a 75 at 2.8 again. So equal shots. Now I do have the XLR adapter on top here. And so we are actually piping both mics, are recording directly to this camera, and we just sync up in post. So if you come around this side, here's the side you don't usually get to see. From where I sit, I have access to 2 DBX 286 units, an S and an older A unit. And this is what the 2 SM7Bs are powering into. The preamps are running on them, and all of our processing is happening live and then feeding out to channels 1 and 2 on the A7 III. So actually audio is pretty much recorded as you hear it. So the back wall that a lot of people like to compliment me on is just that faux brick paneling with a little bit of depth texture you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot. I painted it with a flat, very dark gray paint that was called Atmosphere, and trimmed it with all these pieces are just white shiplap. And then about 2 feet out from the wall, we have hanging down just some LED vintage style Edison bulbs. And that just gives it some character. I like the warmth that it hits the faces of myself and the interviewee. So we have 3 of these here, but what I love is all of this can come down very easily. It's just a few screws holding it up. This stuff can get clamped up to the rods in the ceilings, and this can be changed into a very, very different looking set very quickly. So if I ever had somebody who wanted to come over and do a photo shoot here, this could get moved very quickly and opened up and just do a big open studio space. If someone wanted to come over and do more of a sit-down show with no tables, more like Sam Jones's off camera, it'd be easy to set up with that as well. So wrapping up here, thank you for enjoying it. Let me know if there's anything I missed. I can always do one of these as an update if you guys care, and if anyone who's out there is a local and you know me personally, hit me up if you ever want to come by and take a look around. I'm always willing to help, and if you got a space you need help planning with, it's kind of a hobby of mine. I love the puzzle of creating the right space for someone to create it. Thanks. We'll see you on the next episode.